but disproportionately impacts women, people of color, and those foreign born looking to make a living in our great country and in this place called America, okay? Just like my mom and my dad did when they came from Italy and many of our ancestors. I hope my colleagues will join myself and Councilor Giannino and vote favorably for this ordinance, an ordinance that protects honest businesses, protects taxpayers, protects our city capital, and most importantly, the working people. Do any of my colleagues have anything to add on this motion?
I did, Councilor, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Powers.
I just have one question. So this would beef up state regulations in place now with regard to people being paid?
So as far as bidding processes established through the city. So this would affect any business in regards to bids or proposals in the city of Revere.
And that's not covered under the Commonwealth Act right now?
The state, the Fair Labor Act is covered under the law, but this would have to do with pertaining to city business, Revere business itself, and contractors and vendors.
Thank you.
Well, if we can have a roll call.
You can't use that.
Mr. Chairman, I'm thinking I might want to leave this committee for a bit, get a little more information on it. I don't think.
Is there anything specific you would like?
I just don't know enough about the law. I want to research it a little bit and make sure that I'm comfortable with it. I'm just not up to speed, I guess. If you wouldn't mind.
Mr. President, this was distributed over close, I think, in December. So,
if you wouldn't mind holding it over till the next meeting, I would appreciate it.
I will respect your wishes, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Next item on the agenda.
Next item on the Legislative Affairs Subcommittee agenda is an ordinance relative to the establishment of a public arts commission.
I believe Al Baker is here to speak on this ordinance.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute.
Having issues.
Hi. Hi, everyone. How are
Hi,
you? Do you want me to just give a brief overview? Would that be helpful?
Yes, if you can just give a brief overview of the commission itself, what the expectations are of the commission and what their roles and responsibility will be.
Yes. So the public art ordinance is a proposal that we would start a public art commission so that we may have a group of 5 to 7 members that would work alongside the planning department, and they would help to establish some new guidelines for public art. Each member we anticipate would bring to the table a variety of art backgrounds, and it would establish more diverse expressions of public art opportunities throughout the city. And it does, they would have an established time frame of approximately 1 to 3 years per member. We also want to incorporate having a high school student participate in the board as well, so that they would be able to give a different perspective. So we would be looking to interchange that position one per calendar year, so that we would be able to have a new, fresh perspective each year. As you know, we've had some public art opportunities throughout the city, and we really feel that this would really get things going and be able to give us some more capacity going forward so that we can really start to make some changes and really see some benefits of public art going forward.
Thank you, Elle. Any members of the committee have anything to say at all? Okay, so I just want to make so mayoral appointments to the Public Arts Commission require council confirmation under City Plan B charter. Even though our charter proceeds and is the law of the city, it is very important that motions do not contradict the charter when written. Some wording referring to the commission's appointments may be seen as contradictory to what our city charter reads. It is best to make the following recommendations for the amendments to clear the way for any potential confusion of interpretation of this ordinance. So I would ask the city clerk, do you have the amendments, proposed amendments to the
I
ordinance?
do, Chairman Morbido. I have, Tony, you gotta mute your computer. You have to mute your computer? It's muted?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it was muted. You mean the speakers also?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
so
You have to
on
mute
Zoom-
and the Zoom, yeah. Okay, we're gonna have to keep switching back and forth. I know, okay. Chairman Morbido? I believe Councilor Guanasso has his hand raised.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilor Guanasso?
Mr. Chairman, any of these positions paid? Are these all volunteers? You're muted.
They're
Mr.
volunteer.
Chairman.
They're paid positions according to the ordinance.
They're paid positions. And what kind of money would they be receiving?
I believe it would be the same as any other committee, acting commission on the, any acting committee in the city.
Okay, thank you.
I am not sure of that rate. Councilor Powers?
Mr. Chairman, just a question. How would these individuals be selected for appointment? Would these positions be advertised so that we would have a good selection from throughout the city, from young people out there who might really enjoy doing something like this and might add to the situation?
Which situation is that, Mr. Powers?
The commission.
Okay, so can you repeat your question?
How would these individuals for the commission be selected from throughout the city? Would they be advertised? We might have many talented people in the city that are involved in the arts that might want to sit on that commission and add to it.
I believe they're mayoral appointments, but Al, do you have any answers to that question? Beside what I just mentioned,
I know that
mayoral appointments, I would assume.
for the, hear me? Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, so are we going to be advertising commission members?
I believe that a number of residents in the city have already sent they've already requested to be members of the Public Art Commission after the first meeting that we had on the city council. And I know that a lot of people have expressed their interest. So I'm not sure at this point what the intentions are in regards to advertising, but I can certainly find out and follow up with you.
Thank you.
Council Powers, I do know that the mayor can appoint the members, but they have part of the recommendations we just made were that all appointments must be approved by the city council as Charter B states. So I'm in favor of the establishment of a public arts commission. I think it will help develop a unified public arts strategy for the city. I think city leaders and city groups in Revere have worked so hard over the years. Groups like Beachmont Improvement Committee and Beautification Committee and organizations like the Revere Partnership, who has brought great art to our city. I think having an organization and having a commission like this to work with these organizations will be beneficial to our community and help enhance its beauty. So I would like to take a roll call tonight on that. Actually, I noticed Councilor McKenna is here, who is an art photographer and art teacher. So would you like to say anything about the Arts Commission, Councilor McKenna?
Well, actually, I am, I just got appointed to the Arts Commission, so I have to be, and that should come up, I have to be appointed by the appointment committee, but I am on it. So the mayor appointed me.
With all due respect, he can't appoint you yet until we create this.
Right, of course, of course.
He intends to appoint you right after this.
Yes, yes.
So
I
think
apologize.
Councilor Visconti has.
I noticed
something.
Councilor Visconti is raising his hands. I apologize, Councilor Visconti.
No worries, Mr. Chairman. Question.
You're
You're on
muted.
mute. You're on mute,
You're on mute.
Jerry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry about that. I'd like to say, I'd like the fact that what will be a senior student will be involved in this commission, and that's great to see. I was wondering, I know Joanne, Councilor McKenna was an art teacher, but is there a taste to include possibly a current art teacher in our district, you know, as in addition to Councilor McKenna as one of the members, is just a thought, and wondering how that would how they would feel about that. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think the intent of this ordinance right now is to establish a commission. And I think the mayor will be more than willing to take our recommendations and be more likely to listen to if we have any recommendations. So I think that most important thing is to get this started immediately. What's the worst that can happen with establishing a public arts commission? We enhance the beauty of our city. Let's be realistic. You know, the mayor's been more than willing to work with Councilor Zambuda and myself over the last week, and he had no objections to any of our amendments, and we look forward to working with the commission and the mayor in the future. So if none of the members would object, I would like to take a roll call on this evening.
Yeah, I'm fine.
And Barbito, would you like me to read your proposed amendments into the record? And
Yes,
the
can
committee
you
should
read it?
take those up as a roll call prior to being incorporated into the proposed ordinance, okay?
I would like the amendments read, and then we can take a vote.
Okay. The first amendment is as follows. Section 2.89.020B, terms and appointments, is amended by adding the following sentence at the end of the paragraph. Appointments to the Public Arts Commission are subject to confirmation by the City Council in accordance with the city's charter. Amendment number 2, section 2.89.020C, vacancies, is hereby amended as follows. The language in this section is amended by deleting it in its entirety and replacing with, each member of the Public Arts Commission shall continue to serve after the expiration of his or her term until his or her successor has been appointed and has been duly qualified. Vacancies shall be filled for the period of the unexpired term in the same manner as the original appointments.
Thank you. Roll call.
We're gonna have a roll call on the amendment.
Correct, that's what. Roll call on the proposed amendments. Counselor Keefe is absent. Counselor Novoselsky is absent. Counselor Powers,
Yes.
voting yes. Counselor Visconti,
Yes.
voting yes. Council President Zambudo,
Yes.
voting yes on the amendments, and Chairman Morbido.
Yes.
Yes, the amendments have been approved. Did you want to take the ordinance up as amended?
Yes, please.
On the proposed ordinance as amended, Counselor Keefe is absent. Counselor Novoselsky is absent. Counselor Powers,
Council Powers,
Yes. Yes.
Counselor Powers voting yes. Counselor Visconti
Yes.
voting yes, and Council President Zambudo, yes, and Chairman Morbido.
yes.
Yes, the ordinance as amended will be forwarded to the full city council this evening with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you.
Next.
Next item on the agenda is a ordinance relative to transient vendors. Since Councilor Keefe is not here today, I'd like to keep that in committee until he's able to speak on the motion.
Noted, Chairman. There's no further business on the Legislative Affairs Subcommittee agenda this evening.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Everything will be voted out accordingly. Everything was voted out accordingly and will be sent to City Council meeting this evening. This meeting is adjourned.
Hello.
Are you in the ocean, Joanne?
Yes, yeah, I just didn't want you to look at my bedroom all the time, so I just figured I'd put myself in the ocean.
Okay, it looks pretty.
Oh.
You're
Yeah,
really going off the deep end tonight, huh, McKenna?
yeah, you have no idea. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Who's that tiger next to you?
The tiger?
The tiger next, the
You hear
tigress
this
next to
okay,
you.
Tony? Okay. Oh, click on
Ricky,
the
did you get a haircut?
arrow at,
I did, yes.
Looks
Oh.
good.
Thank you.
How can you tell, Jess?
I have an eye. And I
I
spent
think
40 hours a
Arthur
week.
got a,
That's a still
Arthur got a
picture.
haircut too, I think.
I got a haircut.
Madam Clerk, it's 5:50. Are we ready?
Yes.
Chairman Wanaso, we are ready to go.
Okay. Madam Clerk, I'd like to read the following members of the appointment subcommittee: Councilor Janino, Councilor McKenna, Councilor Powers, and Councilor Visconti. Before us this evening, we have two offers of appointments. 20-279, a communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of J. Pandella Construction as a licensed drain layer. Is J. Pandella Construction represented?
I don't see anyone raising their hands, Chairman.
Okay, we'll put that on hold. They were invited and they know it is on
100.
virtual. Is that
Sorry.
correct?
Yes, they received a letter by mail and by email.
Okay. The sex order of business is 21-003, communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of McCourt Construction Company as a licensed drain layer. Is there any representative of McCourt Construction present?
Yes, Craig Stewart is present.
Mr. Stewart, this is a reappointment or an appointment? Have you been appointed before?
This will be the first time we're appointed.
And the reason that you're interested in the city of Revere is you have an ongoing project, is that correct?
No current ongoing projects, but hopefully some upcoming projects.
Okay, could you just give us a brief outline as to what you have in mind?
Sure, we're looking at the redevelopment of the Suffolk Downs with HYM and some of their utility work and roadway work that's associated with that project.
Okay, very interesting. Any members of the subcommittee wishing to speak?
Motion to approve?
I don't see any hands from the membership of the subcommittee. Any members of the city council wishing to speak? Seeing none, make a motion to approve. All in favor, all opposed? We will vote this out this evening favorably as a recommendation from the appointment subcommittee. And just do a good job for our community and thank you for your presence.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You can pick up the paperwork in the next few days with the city clerk's office, but I would tell you to call in first before you make any arrangements.
Okay, we will.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And this concludes the very abbreviated appointment subcommittee meeting for the evening of February 8th. And thank you for your presence.
Good evening. This is the February 8th meeting of the Revere City Council.
You have to shut your. Oh.
All rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic
for which it stands,
one
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible, liberty,
liberty,
and justice for all.
justice for all.
Do you have your volume totally off? Roll call of the members. Counselor Janino.
Here.
Here. Counselor Guanasso.
Here.
Here. Counselor Keith. Is absent. Counselor McKenna.
Here.
Here. Counselor Morbido.
Here.
Here. Counselor Novoselsky.
Here.
Here. Counselor Powers.
Here, here.
Here. Counselor Rotundo.
Here.
Counselor Rotundo is here. Counselor Sereno.
Here.
Here. Counselor Visconti.
Unmute.
Here.
Counselor Visconti is here. And Council President Zambudo.
Here.
Here, quorum is present. Approval of the journal of the regular meeting of January 25th, 2021.
So move.
All in favor, all opposed?
Calendar item number 3, public hearings. Hearing called as ordered on a loan order in the amount of $5,875,000 for various fiscal year 2021 capital improvements.
Proponents. What do we have here?
Mr. President, this is Paul Agenzio.
Richard?
No,
Mr. Director of Finance, I saw you somewhere.
I'm out here, but I think Paul Agenzio was going to speak first. I could speak after him.
okay, Richard, if you just want to run through the whole, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. If you want to run through the whole thing and I'll speak on the things that concern DPW.
Sure.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Richard Viscay, 281 Broadway, CFO for the city of Revere. I would like to speak favorably upon this loan order. As we discussed briefly at the last city council meeting, we've put this capital plan together the last several years, and it's helped us plan our attack on some of the deferred maintenance and some of the equipment items that the city has requested and needed to run their respective operations. And what we did as part of this 2021 loan order is we are asking the council to approve a bond that will accelerate the purchase of one additional fire pumper truck that was scheduled to be in 2022, as well as add in one city-owned trash truck that will help us collect trash throughout the city for our public barrels and our parks and other operations we're doing with regard to COVID, et cetera. So rates are historically low right now. We have been selling long-term debt at about 2% interest. So we feel that it is a good decision for the city to bump up a couple of these pieces of equipment and sell one bond for the entire amount to fully execute the 2021 capital improvement plan and budget. So I am here to answer any questions and also speak favorably upon this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Viscay. Are there proponents? Agenzio?
Yes, good evening, Mr. President and City Council. I'd like to speak in favor of this bond authorization. There were several pieces of equipment that the DPW desperately needs. One of them being a sweeper, a trash truck, 2 all-wheel drive 6-wheel dumps, and a sign utility vehicle. In all cases, these pieces of equipment replace pieces that we currently have but are 2006s. So they're on their last legs, and we really need to have this equipment to operate properly.
Would you tell me when?
The dump trucks especially, we are in need of those for our snow fighting capabilities. They'll be all-wheel drive, and we can better service the hilly sections of our city, Reservoir, Beachmont, Shirley Ave, Fenley, Trevally, and North Revere. The second item I'd like to speak on is the 1.4 million for the city's public stairs. Over the last couple of years, we've been able to completely replace the 3 sets of wooden stairs. So those have been completed. Now we're faced with either total reconstruction or major repairs to the other sets of stairs throughout the city, all concrete. We have the engineering work done already, and we're ready to move on this. Hopefully, if this money is borrowed, we will be able to complete the bidding process this spring. And if everything goes right, we could start construction this summer. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, but that's it in a nutshell.
Great. Any other proponents?
I'd like to speak in favor of
Mr.
this,
Chiaramella.
This is Don Chiaramella, the
Yep.
Chief of Infrastructure. I would also like to speak in favor of this loan order because the equipment that's needed is very valuable to our operations, snow removal, and the cleanliness of our streets in regards to street sweepers. So it's badly needed of equipment, and I will put it to good use.
Thank you, sir. Any other opponents? Mr. Morrow.
Julie DeMorrow. Hi, thank you. This is Julie DeMorrow with the Office of Planning and Development. I'm also in favor of this bond. I've been working with Paul Argento.
I'm up all the way.
Then it's her computer.
We're having trouble hearing you. Julie, can you turn your volume up? You're on mute.
Hi, can you guys hear me now?
Can hear you, barely.
Julie DeMorrow, Office of Planning and Development. Sorry about that, but I'm also in favor of this bond, particularly for the $1.4 million for the public stairs rebuild. I've been working with Paul Argentio and along with Joanne McKenna, Ira Novoselsky, several members of the Beachmont Improvement Committee to get these stairs, especially the concrete stairs, rebuilt. This is really important. Two of the sets are in complete disarray and they would need a complete demo. So this money is definitely needed. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close that side of the hearing. Opponents? Anybody opposed to this loan order? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close that side of the meeting. Councilors, Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Argentio answered a few of the questions, and I appreciate that. I just, my concern was on the replacements. So you pretty much from the DPW end, that's going to be all replacements. With the street sweeper, so do we have an operating street sweeper right now, or no?
We currently have a contract with the street sweeping service, and we have a sweeper of our own, 2006. The street sweeping program, by contract, they have a certain route that they have to follow every day. And by contract, we really can't deviate from that. So there are a lot of uses that we would need our own sweeper for backup to that program. Also, I know the water and sewer uses it to clean up after water breaks and things like that. So yes, we do have a street sweeping contract, but we also need a sweeper of our own.
Right. So yeah, I know we have a contract. So this one would serve as a reliable use, because I know in the past the current one we had was somewhat unreliable, probably.
It's very unreliable. Like I say, it's 2006. So you cross your fingers when you go out the door with it. Okay,
and I know the fire department. Would this be? And I know that they're not. It doesn't seem like they're on, Mr. Viskey. Would those pumper trucks? Would those be potentially with the addition of some new replacements, or would that be to help staff the potential new fire stations or fire station?
As far as I know, and speaking with the chief, I believe these are 2 pumper trucks that would just replace existing equipment those pieces would be serve as backup pumper trucks. I suppose they may be a long-term plan with the new fire station, but these are what I would consider just replacement of existing equipment.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions. Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
President.
President,
He had sent me a text to let him in. Is he in? He's
Mr.
in.
President,
I apologize. Go ahead, Councilor Gamarza.
obviously, Mr. President, I'm very pleased with the purchases for the DPW and the fire department. You know, this is the type of thing that we need in our community. We need modern and updated equipment in order to service our community the best we know how. But I'm very, very pleased to see, and I like to reiterate my statements that the students, the teachers, and the parents at the Lincoln School are so happy that this endeavor is now taking place, that we're going to get a new HVAC system at the Lincoln School. We're going to get new windows. We're going to get new doors, and it's much needed for one of the older schools in our system that's very much required because we get such an input from many students.
Councilor, if I can, I'm sorry, if I can interrupt you, we're not quite on that loan order yet.
But you're on the $2 million. It's part of the 5.875. To install the new HVAC system.
Okay, well, it's
If you
one
go
of the
down the
next-
list, Mr. President, you will notice that the item $2 million, that's what I'm speaking on.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And it's not too far from your home, Mr. President. That's why I'm very pleased that we are having this, so that, you know, you won't get any irate parents going and storming your door and disturbing all your puppies. But in a serious sense, this is a much required and much needed event for our school children and our parents, and namely our teachers who have to educate our kids there. So I am very thankful for this. And I thank the mayor and the administration for submitting this into the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate it. I'm very pleased with this list. First of all, fire department, we always want to support them. I know they had a busy week. Unfortunately, you know, they lost some major buildings, and I know these new pieces of equipment will definitely help them out with that. The DPW vehicles, you know, as chairman of the DPW subcommittee, I know one particular piece of equipment is the pickup truck. It's going to have a generator on it specifically for the sign department. And they are in such need of a carry-all generator. They help them cut the holes for the posts. Right now, they have to share the current generator that floats around the DPW yard. And I have one question for Paul. The big trucks, or even the pickup trucks, do those come with plows and spreaders?
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't reiterate that. The two dump trucks are going to have sanders and plows on them. Yes, the pickup truck, depending on the makeup of it, maybe it's a utility vehicle. You know, might not be appropriate to plow with. That certainly we can always add that on, but certainly the two dump trucks will have plows and sanders.
One other quick question, would you put this equipment, plows on the trash truck?
Those are usually a cab over, so it wouldn't be appropriate to put a plow on that.
Okay.
If the configuration of the truck changes, we could consider a plow.
Yeah, and of course, the sweeper is definitely needed. You know, I know with a 2006 still on board, we definitely need something that's more dependable than what we have now. And let me finalize my comments. I know the schools are another thing, but the engineering infrastructure on the new stairs. We've been screaming about this I've been around for 20 years, and I think we've been screaming around for 22 years. The stairs from Florence down to Campbell Ave are totally destroyed, and the parents will not use it when they're bringing the kids down to the Garfield School. So they have to walk all the way around Centennial Ave and back down North Shore Road. And the other set of stairs going from Campbell down to North Shore Road aren't as bad. They do need repairs. But I'm glad to see that we're putting some money into this program and get everything up and running and make everybody happy and safe. So thank you very much, and I'll be proud to vote on this loan order when it comes up. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? I don't see hands raised. Okay, Counselor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too am very pleased about the concrete stairs. We have 2 concrete stairs in Beaumont, and one leads down to the train station, which a lot of people use. They're deplorable, and it's really nice to have them, everything fixed. So I'm in favor of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? Not seeing any hands. Counselor Sereno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I won't be redundant, and I'll basically just say ditto to everything my colleagues said. I think this is great that we are authorizing these funds for this important equipment for the city. So I just want to say that I think it's great.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else?
Yeah, why not?
Counselor Rotundo.
Yeah, I just found out the raise my hand part. At the end of the day, any investment in the DPW will always come back 2 to 3-fold, no questions asked. So this is money well spent, and I back it fully.
Thank you, Counselor. Seeing no one else? Okay, we're going to call for a roll call.
The City Council approve a loan order in the amount of $5,875,000 for various fiscal year 2021 capital improvements. Counselor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Keefe?
Yes.
Voting yes. Counselor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Novoselsky?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes. Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Rotundo?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Sereno?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Stambuto?
Yes.
Yes, the loan order has been approved.
Thank you very much, Councilors.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4. Nope, you gotta keep your volume on.
Rick, you should be smiling when you're coming for money.
You all set? Calendar item number 4, hearing called is ordered on a loan order in the amount of $60,000 for the Lincoln School Design and Planning Services for replacement of windows and doors.
Proponents.
Now you can turn your volume up. And this is what we're gonna have to do.
Wow. Okay.
Chairman
Proponents.
Zambrano? Sorry.
Dr. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have done several projects in the city that have improved our school buildings through the MSBA, the Massachusetts School Board Assistance Program. And we've been fortunate to avail ourselves of their generosity over the years. And last year we submitted for 2 new accelerated repair projects. One at the Lincoln School, which you're taking up now, and the other will be at the Beachmont School coming up shortly. And I just wanted to voice support, of course, for both of these missions. As Councilor Guanasso pointed out, this project of replacing the windows at the Lincoln School is meant to complement the installation of a new HVAC system there. Naturally, if we're going to be air conditioning that building, we want to make sure that the building envelope is tight and that the windows and doors are working well and going to complement that city so that we don't have exorbitant energy costs. We had also submitted for a new roof for the Lincoln School. That project was not accepted at this time, as the volume of projects presented to the MSBA meant that they had to change their guidelines. But we will continue to pursue that roof project for the Lincoln in subsequent years. And this year right now would be very appreciative of the city council voting to allocate or go out to bond for the $60,000 that we anticipate it'll cost to complete the feasibility study for this project.
Thank you very much. Any other proponents?
I'll speak, Mr. President. Richard Viskey, 281 Broadway.
Thank you,
Just to
Mr.
echo the superintendent, this is a great way for the city to leverage some of its dollars with some MSBA grant dollars to do some capital improvements to both the Lincoln School and the Beachmont boiler. So I think it's a great program where we can probably get 5 to 1 on our money here, depending on what the funding schedule is, as long as all goes according to plan. So I am here to speak in favor of this loan order. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Viskey. Any other proponents? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any opponents? Anyone opposed? Hearing and seeing none, close that side of the hearing. Councilors, Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you, Council President. If you could give me the latitude. Through you to Superintendent Dr. Kelly, I do have total support for this project. However, I do have a question in regards to many questions that are always fielded from us about when do you think children will be able to go back to school? And I know it's not the issue at hand. Council President, if you give me the leeway to get the answer, it would satisfy, I don't know how many parents that have that question that we get all the time. And the project's an easy thing to support. The money's there. I mean, I support 100%, but if you could be so gracious, thank you.
I'll give Dr. Kelly the opportunity, even though it's not in order.
Really not germane, to be honest with you.
I can give just briefly for the benefit of the community. I'll say that we hit a little bit of a snag in our plan to come back. As I'm sure you all know, the governor changed where educators are in the protocol for vaccine. And that was something that we had anticipated was going to be happening actually either last week or this week, that our educators would be getting inoculated. And that obviously is not the case. We were pushed down in the line behind seniors and not just the ones over 75 who are currently being vaccinated, but also those in the next category, which are 65 plus. So I will be convening with the school committee this week. We have a school committee meeting scheduled. A regular meeting is scheduled for next Tuesday night. And there will be a lot more information then. But we certainly are in a position where we are thinking about what our next steps will be.
Thank you. Thank you for that information. Councilor Visconti.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm in favor of this money. Obviously, the HVAC system at the Lincoln has been well overdue, and I'm glad to see that it's actually coming to fruition soon enough. And like Mr. Viskey said, it's a great way to leverage 5 to 1 on your money, and it's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Guanasso.
Mr. President, this is obviously a very worthy way to spend money, whereas parents, children, and educators benefiting from it. It's certainly a long time overdue, as I said previously, and I think that this is going to enhance the whole HVCA complement when we get it. So I'm looking forward to seeing this pass ASAP. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you'd allow me just to speak on 4 and 5 at the same time, because my comments go together. I'm in support of both of these public hearings this evening. There are two investments in our public school systems that we need to make, and they are really important to look at moving forward because these are two of the oldest schools in our district right now. So, we can't make those other necessary infrastructure improvements. We talk about, heat and air conditioning and proper ventilation when we don't even have, appropriate windows and boiler systems that are up to date. So I am in favor of the proposal for the Lincoln and the Beachmont School, and thank you for allowing me to speak at once. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. These, as Councilor Janino alluded to, are two of our little schools in the system. And I think one of the most important elements that we can add to any school building is where children are in there learning and doing their very best is a comfort zone. And I think these bond authorizations are going to enhance that comfort zone 100%. And it's a very positive step that we're taking tonight. And at the school department, I want to thank Dr. Kelly for all of the effort she puts in down there in making this happen. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. We're going to buy you a new laptop because you're killing us with that speaker. Any other councilors? Hearing and seeing none, we're going to call for a roll call.
Roll call on the motion. So shall the city council approve a loan order in the amount of $60,000 for the Lincoln School Design and Planning Services for replacement of windows and doors? Councilor Janino.
Yes.
Voting yes. Councilor Guanasso.
Yes.
Voting yes. Councilor Keefe.
Yes.
Voting yes. Councilor McKenna.
Yes.
Voting yes. Councilor Morbido.
Yes.
Voting yes. Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Voting yes. Councilor Powers.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rotundo. Councilor Rotundo.
You're muted,
Councilor-
Councilor.
Yes, sorry, I had some problems. Yes.
Councilor Rotundo voting yes. Councilor Sereno.
Yes.
Voting yes. Councilor Visconti.
Yes.
Voting yes. And Council President Zambudo.
Yes.
Council President Zambudo voting yes. The loan order has been approved. Calendar item number 5, hearing called as ordered on a loan order in the amount of $60,000 for the Beachmont Elementary School boiler replacement design and planning services.
Proponents.
I won't be redundant, but I'll just say again that in order to make sure that we have a safe and equitable learning environment for all of our students, it's really important that we get the existing boilers replaced. They are at the end of their life. And we're at the state now where the district maintenance team is having difficulty finding some of the replacement parts. So really, it's time for us to upgrade that system and make sure that our students and our staff have a comfortable learning environment in which to teach and learn.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Ms. DeMora.
Hi, I just want to speak on the boiler replacement. Just last fall, the fall of 2019, we actually had a green energy audit for the Beachmont School. And one of the things that did come out of the audit was the boilers and how inefficient that they really were. So this was flagged back then. And the boilers that are in there now are old and outdated and exceptionally, and they really burn through a lot of energy. So the new boilers will be more efficient. And so even though it's expensive right now, you're going to save over the long run when these new boilers come in. And then also too, and I'm sure I can work with Dr. Kelly, National Grid has a lot of incentives for boilers. When we replaced the Garfield School, the city actually received $50,000 back in National Grid incentives that went back into the general fund. So there's other costs to help offset this once the boilers are put in.
Thank you. Any other proponents? People in favor? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close that section of the hearing. Any opponents? Anybody opposed? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close that section of the hearing. Any counselors? No counselors? Okay, we'll call for a roll call.
Roll call on the motion. You have to shut your volume off. Roll call on the motion. Shall the city council approve a loan order in the amount of $60,000 for the Beachmont Elementary School boiler replacement design and planning services? Counselor Janino.
Yes.
Voting yes. Counselor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Morbido.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Powers.
Yes.
Counselor Powers voting yes. Counselor Rotundo.
Yes.
Counselor Rotundo voting yes. Counselor no.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Visconti.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes, this loan order has been approved. Next up is the Legislative Affairs Subcommittee report.
Thank you, everybody.
Chairman
Thank you.
Morbido.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier this evening, the Legislative Affairs Subcommittee met and we had 3 items on the agenda. We left 2 in committee and we voted one unanimously favorable. And that ordinance is establishing a public art commission in the city of Revere. And once again, it was voted favorably by the subcommittee.
I just want to apologize before we go to a roll call here. We're having some technical difficulties tonight, so if it seems like everything is mumble jumble, it's because we have to keep switching on and off computers here. So on the roll call. Ordered on a second reading? As amended. Ordered on a third and final reading? As amended. Roll call on the amendment, on the motion. Hold on.
On a roll call for engrossment and ordainment as amended, shall the city council approve an ordinance establishing a public arts commission? Counselor Janino.
Yes.
Voting yes. Counselor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Morbido.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Powers.
Yes.
Voting yes. Counselor Rotundo.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Sereno.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Visconti.
The Godfather.
Yes. And Council President Zambudo.
Yes.
Voting yes, the ordinance is engrossed and ordained as amended. Next up is the Appointments Subcommittee report.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead,
Mr. President, Mr. President, earlier this afternoon, the Appointment Subcommittee met. We had 2 items on the agenda. They're both appointees to the licensed dray layer position. The first appointee, Jay Bandella Construction, did not appear, so I asked that we hold that. The second one, 21-003, communication from Mayor L to the appointment of McCourt Construction as a licensed drain layer. They did appear, and I asked that the city council vote this out favorably. Thank you, Mr. President. Roll call.
On a roll call.
Shall the city council confirm the appointment of McCourt Construction as a licensed drain layer? Counselor Gino.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Keith?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Voting yes, Counselor Rotundo?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Sereno?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes, and Council President Tamburdo?
Yes.
Yes, the appointment of McCourt Construction has been confirmed. Calendar item number 11, communications. Communication from the city auditor requesting an appropriation from the Cable Access Receipt Reserve Fund for Riviera TV's first quarter invoice.
Mr. Viskey.
Hello, good evening, Rich Viskey, 281 Broadway. As you've seen in the past, the Department of Revenue has changed the way that the city has to handle its handling of the funds that we receive through our cable contracts in the city to fund our Revere TV operation. So this is just an appropriation from that Receipts Reserve for Appropriation Fund for the first quarter invoice for Revere TV. And happy to answer any questions on that matter. Thank you.
Keep your volume up. I'll just not, okay.
Okay, on a roll call.
Shall the city council approve a transfer in the amount of $130,854.04 from the Cable Access Receipt Reserve Fund for the purpose of paying the Revere TV first quarter invoice? Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Voting yes, Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Keefe?
Yes. Yes.
Councilor Keefe? Voting yes, Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Voting yes, Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Rotundo?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Sereno?
Yes.
Voting yes, Councilor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes, and Council President Tamburdo?
Yes.
Yes, the transfer has been approved.
Thank you, Council.
But you do have to shut your speaker off because it's going to it's catching. Okay. Calendar item number 12, motion presented by Councilors Janino and Sereno that the City Council approve the attached resolution, a resolution urging fair and full opportunities at Amazon.
Councilor Sereno.
Mr. President, I'm going to defer to Councilor Janino first.
I'm not hearing him. Are you
You have
hearing?
to turn your volume up.
This is killing me.
I know.
Sorry. Go ahead again.
Sorry, I said I'm going to defer first to Councilor Janino, and then I'll speak after her.
I apologize. I
Ladies
didn't-
first.
I know, I didn't see who was on the motion. My mistake. Councilor Janino, please.
Thank you, guys. And Councilor Sereno, thank you for deferring to me. Although you are the ward council, I appreciate the change of order. Thank you. So this is very straightforward. The resolution reads very straightforward, exactly what we're looking to accomplish. Basically, Amazon is one of the wealthiest companies in the world. They're worth over 1.7 trillion with a T dollars. And, you know, they're working right now to build their own distribution network to increase profit, but it's at the expense of their workers. So my concern right now is that, you know, we want to make sure that if they're continuing to grow in our community, as if right now it appears to be the case, we have one facility and we're looking at a second, we want to make sure that they're meeting the obligations of the city of Revere and their neighbors as a host community, and also make sure that they're held accountable and to high standards of a safety and good track record. The city of Revere is a working class city with strong work ethics and values, and a lot of small businesses have suffered because of COVID-19. And we want to make sure that, you know, we're not taking away from small businesses by kind of allowing Amazon to get away with a little more than they should be. So basically, you know, this program's offered a new way of our residents to shop, but we need to make sure that, you know, when you have a package delivered from a UPS or a FedEx, those drivers and those companies are held to certain standards. And unfortunately with Amazon, there's currently not that same relationship. So the purpose of this is really to set those community standards. So basically, it's an independent contractor model with Amazon versus the employee or the employee, similar to UPS or DHL. It's making sure that the drivers are safe and they're working under good conditions. And it's also making sure that our residents that are working in these jobs are getting fair, livable wages. So I think it's really important that we look at this. I know the city of Cambridge passed it, Medford passed it, as well as Somerville and the city of Boston. So it's in our purview to make these decisions and really protect the residents of Revere, especially since, again, we have 2 facilities that we're looking at in the city of Revere. UPS drivers can make more than $35 an hour. And it's really important that we're making sure that when these Amazon drivers are delivering to our homes, that they're held to the same standards that other delivery companies are. So I look forward to working on this with my colleagues and Councilor Serino, through you, Mr. President.
Councilor Serino.
Thank you, Mr. President. So when we got word that Amazon was coming to Ward 6 before the holidays, one of the biggest issues that residents said to me was, yes, we're bringing jobs to the old movie theater site, but what kinds of jobs are they? Amazon has kind of a track record for not being fair employers. In fact, last week, they were just fined $61.7 million for withholding tips from delivery drivers. So I just, as the ward councilor, and we're going to be hosting this company in my neighborhood, I think it's only right that when we're bringing these jobs to Revere, that we make sure that it's a fair employer. Obviously we can't mandate things, but we can certainly request and show our solidarity with these Amazon employees and fight for them to show that, they deserve to have the opportunity to unionize, and they have they deserve to earn livable wages and good benefits and all of that. So I'm proud that we're sponsoring this, and I hope that our colleagues will support us in this. Thank you, Mr. President.
And Mr. President, I believe after the councilors speak, there's also School Committeeman Cogliano wishes to speak as well.
Are you finished, Councilor Serino?
Yes, Mr. President. I'm sorry if you can't hear me, but yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Regional School Committee Member Anthony Katian.
Good evening, Revere City Council. I'm here today, resident of Revere and member of Teamsters Local 25, and I'm also an employee of DHL, which is in the same business as Amazon. The industry is very demanding, long hours, 6 to 7 work days. But one thing we have to say, we've always been compensated with a good benefit package, wages, retirement, and so on. Amazon does not have that. And I'm asking the City Council to pass this resolution and send a message to Amazon. Basically, if you're going to do business in this city, you will pay the prevailing wage and benefit package and the right to collective bargaining. Thank you. You didn't hear me, President, did you?
I heard you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. And welcome to the Revere City Council for the first
And
time.
thank you for letting me speak. Thank you.
On the, anyone else, Councilor Rotundo? Councilor Rotundo has his hand up. Whoever uses the functions gets picked first. So I see.
Okay, like this. What does this mean? Distress?
No. Use
you very
the
much,
actual electronic hand. Councilor Rotundo, you're first.
Thank you, Mr. President. First and foremost, I think this resolution speaks very clearly as to the need for community wages in the city of Revere, community standards at the very least. And more importantly, I think Sean O'Brien should probably get down there with some Teamster cards and get them filled out and start unionizing. My dad is retired from UPS, well over 30 years. He worked there, and it provided for a family of 5. Clearly, these are the working class jobs that we need in the city, and they should be paid accordingly. The 1099 of these people, if that's the case, is horrendous considering the wealth of Amazon. More importantly, I would hope that the city would continue to talk to them or would speak to them about aiding in development, affordable housing, and a shelter in the city, as they're doing in other communities. That said, I support this fully. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rotundo. Councilor Guanasso.
Mr. President, this is a way to welcome new employees or employers to our community by telling them and asking of them to be good neighbors, but also be good to their employees. I think this is a very reasonable request, fair wages for the work being done. As Mr. Caggiano stated, DHL, UPS, SPS, they all have very important jobs. And we know we as a community are inundated with prime trucks all over the place. So the least they can do is pay attention to us when we speak to them in behalf of our residents and their employees. And so I'm looking forward to voting for this, and I think it's well intended, and I think it's a great thing to show everyone that we're on their side, but we want to show our new employer that we would like to support our residents and their employees also. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Guanasso. Councilor Morabito.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think Mr. Caggiano was right on point when he was talking about the amount of hours that people in that industry work. I know myself working full-time in retail, and Councilor Keefe and Janino, the work ethic that goes into the job and the long hours. And a company like Amazon is gigantic, and they make so much revenue, but it's the little people that are doing all the work and making them successful that are not rewarded. So I commend my colleagues for putting this forth. I hope there is some sort of mitigation agreement, and I hope the mayor brings this forth when have a mitigation agreement with Amazon, because they need to do their part and step up.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to comment that I think this is a great motion. But on top of that, if there are going to be facilities in the city of Revere, making sure that everyone's on the same playing field, following by the same set of rules. And like Mr. Caggiano mentioned, there's a lot of transportation vehicles driving around the city. They have different standards. Some of them just pull over on the side of the road. Some of them don't. But of course, it all starts from the top. Treating your employees well and training them well and paying them well and taking care of them will go a long way. So if they're going to practice, or if they're going to operate businesses in our city, we would expect to hold them to the same standards as we would anyone else in that same business. But on top of it, just a reminder to everyone, it's not just about putting this down on paper. It's not just about saying it. If you're going to talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. So just a reminder, there's, a lot of people are very quick to, knock certain companies, but they're the first ones that have 17 packages on their front doorstep. So it's all about, this isn't just, writing it and saying it, it's actually following that as well. So, and again, if you came by my house on the holidays, you probably saw the trucks pulling up too. So we have to think about it how we operate and the companies we choose to support. So that's just, we all need to be a little bit better of that. So remind you all. Thank you.
Point of information.
Thank you, Councilor. State your point, Councilor.
I just want to clarify that in no way whatsoever was I stating that we should stop doing business with Amazon or people should stop doing business. But I was clearly saying that we as a city should look out for the people in our community, and a company the size of Amazon and making the revenue that revenue that they generate, they should be able to take care of their employees, and we should do whatever we can to make sure they
No, that wasn't directed to you, Council Morbido. I'm just bringing it up as a point to all.
The chairman of the Commission on Disabilities, Ralph DeChico.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your leeway. Just as a suggestion or something that I've been looking to bring to the city, especially with a lot of these new businesses coming to the city, especially with the size of one of Amazon. I would really like to see something put into place for our residents with not only physical disabilities, but social and emotional disabilities as a pilot program for them to establish jobs for those residents that we have. As a pilot program, you see a lot of cities and towns in the Commonwealth that are starting to do this with small businesses in their communities. And I'd really like to see that possibly be done. Not only with Amazon, but other avenues in the city.
Thank you, Mr. DeChico. Anyone else? On the motion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. On the resolution.
Make sure you shut your volume off. Calendar item number 13, motion presented by Councilor McKenna that the mayor request the Department of Public Works to mitigate an underground natural spring flowing down Bellingham Avenue through 135 Endicott Avenue and onto Endicott Avenue. The spring flows year-round and causes thick ice to form during winter. For 2 years, there have been ongoing discussions to fix this issue, but the problem is getting worse. This motion is offered in the interest of public safety for vehicular and pedestrian traffic.
Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this issue has been going on for years, but it's getting worse. It's an underground stream that's flowing down from Bellingham Ave through a resident's property onto Endicott Ave. We have a bus route there. And what happens is when the cars go by, the water goes in the street when the cars go by, and when it's cold and it freezes, they splash it onto the other side of the street. So not only is one side of the sidewalk getting inundated with ice, but so isn't the street and the other side of the sidewalk. And I had a resident fall. So that's why I brought this up, because we had discussions to mitigate the money. The owner of the property cannot afford the cost of this fix. And I just feel that we have a lot of independent contractors out there. Maybe someone can do it pro bono because, like I said, this resident cannot afford this. So, and it really needs to be fixed, especially now where it's so cold. The ice, we had to put a sand bucket down there in front of the property so people could go out there and sand their sidewalks. We've had tractors come by and try to clear up the ice. We've had sanders down there sanding that piece, and it's a large piece of Endicott Ave. And like I said, it's a bus route. So it's dangerous to the public, it's dangerous to pedestrians, and it's dangerous to the MBTA. So I really do think this really needs to be addressed sooner than later. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Janino.
I'm on mute. Thank you. I just want to support my colleague, Councilor McKenna, on this motion and commend her for trying to come up with something creative for a resident that's in a tough spot and can't afford this. I know I've dealt with other issues like this in different parts of the city. We had, there's one off of Reservoir Ave, there's one on Fenno Street, and I know Joe Mag was phenomenal at, he can tell you exactly where it came from and what the issue is and how to fix it. So I'm curious to see the backstory of it. And I applaud you for looking for different ways to handle a situation for a resident that can't take it on their own and for looking at the best interest of the city. So thanks, Councilor McKenna, and I support you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Chief of Infrastructure.
Don Charmella, Chief of Infrastructure. So I'm aware of many of these natural springs. Matter of fact, Councilor Janino touched upon the one on Fenno Street. when I took the job, that had been running for many, many years. I sent MWRA up to the street above it, which was Ridge Road. We located 3 leaks that had been running for probably in excess of 10 years up there. And that was that supposedly natural spring. We resolved those leaks in my first few months as being the superintendent of the water and sewer department. There was a motion that was passed on January 28, 2019 by Councilor Keefe for a similar problem on 302 Vane Street. The motion was passed. The mayor gave me a directive to fix it, and we did. So the resolve was bringing our infrastructure to the property line because we could not spend city funds on private property. So that was resolved. We have some pictures of that work that was done. The motion was passed on January 28, 2019. I did the work, my men did the work on April 11, 2019, 4 months right after that motion was passed. We had to get out of the winter, and we ran that infrastructure to the property, and the homeowner and spent their own funds to direct the water to our infrastructure. That was the resolve, because we cannot spend private public funds on private property. So with this instance, Council McKenna emailed me on 12/9/2019. We met up at the site. I promised to resolve this issue. We did this past year. We brought the drain to the property, as we did on 302 Vane Street. Now, again, at 135 Endicott, I can't spend public funds on private property to collect this water. So, it's a large piece of property. I can't really determine where the water is coming from, but we gave the homeowner a place to put the water. Similar to 302 Vane Street, I don't know what more that we could do as for a service to this gentleman, but I'm open to suggestions if we want to put funds on private property and direct that water coming off that property to the infrastructure that I've placed in the street and in the sidewalk.
I'd just like to interject and just to say that it is affecting the city streets and the city sidewalks. And like I said, this resident is older. He's a senior. He lives by himself. He can't afford it. I've had multiple conversations with him, and I thought we were going to resolve this. You were going to try to get some private contractors to do it pro bono. And I thought we had a couple of people lined up, and that never happened. So I know these private contractors get tons of money from the city. And I really do think that they should give back something. So, like I said, he can't afford it. And it's still a very dangerous situation. And it is affecting city sidewalks and city streets, in the city streets. So, it's like a double jeopardy here.
Well, Council Canada, with all due respect, I can only ask the contractors to do it. I can't coerce them. So
Sure.
if they don't want to do it, they don't. I mean, one of the contractors is a local contractor that you're very familiar with, and he just doesn't want to do it. So outside of me spending city money on private property, which again would be totally unethical, I don't know what else I can do. I ran the infrastructure to the property per council order 1883 that was passed on January 28, 2019. I replicated exactly what I did at 302 Vane Street. I replicated it exactly at 135 Endicott. More than that, I don't know what else I can possibly do. But again, I'm open to suggestions, whatever the city council wants me to do. I guess we'll listen to what you have to say. Does we have any suggestions of what else I can do? Council Keith, we were pretty successful at 302 Vane Street.
Yeah, Mr. President, through you, it doesn't look like the president's there, but, just to speak on this matter, and I know where Council McKenna's coming from, and I know Council Novoselsky, we have a couple hilly areas where, water finds, the lowest point, and sometimes it has to flow through neighborhoods or backyards, and then it ends up becoming a public safety issue where it rolls into the street. So, obviously we don't want to make a habit of going into people's private properties and doing personal repairs, but if the water isn't stemming from them, like let's just say on the hill here, we found it to be coming from certain hill areas and then going through 3 different streets and then ended up pouring into the actual sidewalk and street. I felt that was a one-off where we needed to take care of that because it was becoming an issue for multiple residents. It's not their water. I mean, yes, I understand that maybe their house was sitting on top of this water, but I think we ought to try to help them when we can. It would be the same as if they were living on the ocean and the seawall started to break. We would try and correct the water from coming into their properties as best we could, even though they live on the ocean. And it's inherent that when there's a storm, water is going to hit them, but we still build seawalls. It's something that I would try to, we can't do it all the time, but when we can, it makes sense.
Donnie, if I can interject for a second here, can we possibly get an estimate on what this would cost and then try to deal with it either by soliciting private funds or in some other way? If it's a safety hazard, perhaps we can look to do it without breaking the law.
I'll contact the city solicitor's office and see if there's a way of wrangling around this. I just have no mechanism myself to approve city funds on private property.
I understand that, but perhaps there's a way to do it with an easement or some sort of.
Actually, Council Zimbudo, that actually is the way. That actually is the resolve. That's correct. I failed to mention that. If they give us an easement onto the property, we can, in fact, put in some drainage. Councilor Novoselsky did that on Hillside Avenue, and we're going to be doing that on Hillside Avenue. That's correct. The problem with that is people don't like giving up easements because basically it devalues their property a little bit because now the city has the right to go onto the property when they see fit. And
I understand that, but if it's going to solve the problem, I mean that's probably.
So are we in agreement?
I have to stop because I have to give credit to my city clerk who put that in my ear.
Yeah.
I can't take full credit for the easement idea.
So we'll go down that road. We'll try the easement, resolve, and if that doesn't work, I guess we'll have to revisit it another way.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? We're done.
I just want to say thank you for the support and just everybody. Thank you.
Great. On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So voted. Killing me with this.
I know. Sorry. Calendar item number 14, motion presented by Councilors Sereno, Genino, and Keefe, that the City Council adopt the attached resolution recognizing February as Black History Month.
Councilor Sereno.
Mr. President, if it's not too much trouble for the clerk, Madam Clerk, would you read that resolution into the record?
Did you shut your volume off?
Something wrong here. I don't know what's wrong. Okay. Let me shut it off.
Shut the volume off. You have to
Unbelievable.
mute yourself.
President, would you like me to read it?
Or he's good. He muted himself.
You good? Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry about this, guys. So a resolution honoring Black History Month. Whereas in 1926, famed African-American historian and scholar, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, son of former slaves, established Black History Week to celebrate accomplishments and achievements made by Black Americans to our economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development as a nation. And whereas Dr. Carter G. Woodson valued education and believed that it was never too late to learn, and that it is beneficial for all Americans to continue to learn about the heritage and experiences of all Americans. And whereas it is through learning that we become enlightened and come to understand each other more clearly. And whereas in 1976, President Gerald R. Ford designated the entire month of February as Black History Month and urged Americans to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every endeavor throughout our history. And whereas Black History Month allows for discussions of our country's legacy of slavery and institutional and structural racism. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Revere City Council hereby recognizes Black History Month, and the City Council does so by honoring the contributions of Black residents to the common good of our community. Okay, Tony, you can turn your.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I may.
Go ahead. Go right ahead. Sorry.
Thank you. So I decided to file this resolution because it actually came to me because the city of Chelsea, their city council each year passes a resolution where they honor Black History Month, but they also, and that's my next motion, in addition to honoring Black History Month by recognizing it officially, they recognize Black History Month by honoring a member or members, Black members of their community who have contributed to the community and who are figures in the community. So when I realized the city of Chelsea was doing this, I thought, and shame on me, perhaps I should have done it last February in my first year on the council, but this year I felt it was important, and I think maybe going forward that we do something like this each year by adopting the resolution and honoring members of our community who are African American, who are Black, who contribute greatly. So on my next motion, we'll see that I've nominated to honor Fatou Drama for this year's to honor her this year. But again, I just think it's important that we as a city council, in addition to the banner, that we recognize the importance of Black History Month and acknowledge the history behind it and why we celebrate it. So with that, I know some other colleagues would like to speak. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. President. The resolution really speaks for itself, but I was a part of Chelsea's ceremony. They do it on Martin Luther King Day. It was on a Monday. And the reverend that puts it together really puts together a beautiful ceremony, and she honors different members of the community. She gets the youth in the community involved, and it really is a beautiful program that she puts together. And I know that the city of Chelsea then will take the people that the reverend nominates and honor the city council will honor them. This year it was 2 police officers and a local businessman, and it really, shows the pride that these people have in their community. It was a beautiful event to be a part of. We listened to speeches, we watched movie clips. There were students from Chelsea High that presented poetry and different pieces of literature that they wrote. And after I sat and watched that meeting, and Councilor Serino brought that up, it was just like a light bulb went on. Like if Chelsea could hold such a beautiful ceremony, and it's such an important part of their community, they've been doing it for years. I think it would be great for the city of Revere to do it. And I encourage you guys, I know it was recorded, so maybe you guys can watch it and we can plan something with high school next year and get some students to offer some poetry or some literature pieces, some different readings. But it really was a powerful community event to be a part of. And I think that the city of Revere deserves it too.
Thank you, Councilor Janino. Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. When Councilor Serino brought this up with me and speaking with Councilor Janino and Rep. Janino, it was quite embarrassing. I was surprised that we haven't done something like this in the past. And I was, it just makes us think that we still have a lot of work to do. And I think that everyone is really doing a good job of that. But there's always more to be done. And that's where, sometimes last week, our last meeting, Council Zambudo, Mr. President, you had made a nice offering and a great gesture, and some of it was taken aback that we ought to do more. So, with perception is reality at times. So I'm excited that we're going to be able to do something a little bit more, and we're going to hopefully continue to keep this ball moving. Again, because it's more than just what we put on a piece of paper and what we say. It's all about the actions and how we activate ourselves and live our lives 365 days a year. This isn't just about a month. So just some brief comments. And I said this. We should reflect this on our daily actions through the way we behave, through the way we treat each other, and through the way we teach our children. And this is in order to promote true equality. We must truly live it. So I'm really excited and thankful that Councilor Serino brought this up, and I just want to make sure that the residents of Revere, and not just the residents of Revere, but people that always come into play with Revere, realize that, we're a fully embracing community, and we're going to continue to work at it because, through the years of our history in the United States, we've always had a trajectory up, and we'll continue to take it that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Morabito.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I think Councilor Zambudo will pass to put in that motion. If you go in front of City Hall, you'll see a banner of Martin Luther King. And I think, I thought his intention was, let's start off the Black History Month, the beginning of February, by putting up the banner. So I thought that was the intention of Councilor Zambudo. So we should probably, I agree wholeheartedly with Councilor Keefe. This shouldn't be a monthly thing. This is something that we have to realize and need to make systemic changes down the road. But I'm a little confused as far as Councilor Zambudo. I'm pretty sure he had the same intention with his motion to kick off Black History Month by hanging a banner of Martin Luther King. So I think we can all collaborate and do this all together, like the first day of February every year. We can have, and hopefully when the coronavirus passes, we can do an in-person event to establish to those in the community who step it up, and especially the Black and Brown community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Before I call anybody else, I just want to take a minute to thank Jacqueline McLaughlin from the mayor's office. That beautiful banner with the depiction of Martin Luther King on the City Hall was designed by her. Wonderful job. My biggest hope is that, especially for the young people, I'm not singling them out, but they get to know more about this wonderful man, Martin Luther King. And that's why I felt it was appropriate to kick off Black History Month with that banner up. But all this other stuff is great also. But I want to congratulate her. She's very talented. And as you can see, she did a wonderful job designing that banner. Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to reiterate that, again, I don't think the purpose of this motion was in any way, shape, or form related to the previous council meeting. I really do believe that the ceremony that we took part of in Chelsea inspired us to want to do something, some sort of collaborative event to celebrate MLK Day, because there isn't something in the city of Revere. We're in Chelsea, it's a celebrated day that, again, the school is a part of. They have essay writing contests, they have poetry writing contests. So I think this is a bigger picture project here that we're looking for some community buy-in. You know, Chelsea has a reverend that puts it on. Maybe some interfaith groups want to get involved. Maybe, you know, an organization from the high school wants to take some sort of pride into it. I mean, we're looking for buy-in from people that want to make this an event that Revere is as proud of Chelsea. So I just want to really drive that home, that it's my goal, and I'm not going to speak for my colleagues, but it's my goal to mirror some sort of event like Chelsea has to bring that same pride and that same recognition to our residents.
Great, thank you. Dimple Rana, please.
Hi, good evening, City Council. Dimple Rana, 49 South Ave, Revere. I just wanted to comment. I actually had my hand raised for the Amazon motion as well. I'll be sending in some of my email comments regarding that. But just regarding the current motion, I applaud the city councilors that have brought this to the forefront and recognizing Black History Month. So thank you very much for doing that. And it's been a long time coming. And the city of Chelsea has been doing it for a very long time because they have a Black community that has been organized and has been very active for many, many years. The Chelsea Black community that they call themselves. And so I want to acknowledge that, and also want to acknowledge the next motion that's going to come up. And I won't speak again, but to acknowledge in your recognition for Fatu Fati and her dedication to the city of Revere as an African-American woman, someone who has been very influential in my life, someone who I met when I came out of college back in the early 2000s and helped not only cultivate my leadership skills, but also for other women and other immigrant and refugee families here in the city of Revere with the organization previously called Cooperative Economics for Women. And when that organization was defunded, she and other people in the community started Women Encouraging Empowerment, and that I have been an active board member of since the inception of that and my moving back to the city of Revere. So thank you for that motion as well. I also want to just want to continue to celebrate the other Black accomplishments of the city, where, you know, just last year, our young people took the initiative with the Black Lives Matter movement and really made a presence in our city and under their leadership, and they're wanting to have a place of belonging here in the city, which we should definitely recognize. I also want to recognize the Rumney Marsh Burial Ground, where they also have unmarked graves for our Black residents who were part of the establishment of our great city, and they should also be celebrated. And hopefully one day we can find out who those families are. And then also recognizing the Jones family in North Revere. And in particular, you know, J.J. Jones, for example, who is a decorated police officer for the city of Cambridge, and his family's history here in Revere. His grandmother, I don't want to speak for him, but you know, his grandmother survived a horrendous winter here in the city, who traveled part of the freeing of the slaves, and made home in North Revere, in where we call where the quarry is, and established their first home. And so they were one of our first Black families here in the city, and so I want to also acknowledge them, and hopefully we can also get them a recognition. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rana, and I apologize for not seeing your hand during the Amazon debate. On the motion, all in favor, all opposed?
Calendar item number 15, motion presented by Councilors Sereno, Janino, and Keefe, that the City Council award a certificate of appreciation to Ms. Fatu Drama in recognition of her commitment and dedication to our community. Fatu is the founder of Women Encouraging Empowerment, a local nonprofit organization in Revere that works to educate, advocate for, and protect the most vulnerable populations in our community. Additionally, through the COVID pandemic, Fatu has truly gone above and beyond to connect residents with resources. Fatu has dedicated her entire personal and professional life to advance the causes of social justice, economic prosperity, participatory adult education, and program development for vulnerable populations. Revere is a better city because of the work Fatu does day in and day out.
Councilor Sereno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll speak briefly because I'll save my comments for when we present Fatu with her certificate, hopefully at the next meeting. Anybody who knows Fatu knows that community lives within her heart. She, even before the COVID pandemic, she was very involved and instrumental in helping people in our community. When I called her last week to tell her that I was going to be filing this motion, she said, and she was so humbled, and she said that, when I wake up in the morning, I just pray that I make one person's life a little bit better through my work. So like I said, I will save my comments, but Fatu, truly, she's a saint in our community who lives among us, and I believe she should be recognized, and I look forward to presenting the citation next meeting. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will also be brief, but Fatu, she really lives the city of Revere obviously we're still in the middle of this pandemic, or hopefully towards the latter part, but right at the beginning when we were getting ravaged and food resources were really slim, she's running the community school and she's showing up in the morning at the food distribution sites to help pack bags with us. This is all volunteer work. Showing up at the different distribution sites on Wednesday nights and unboxing trucks. Just constantly, everywhere you turn, when there's a city-run event, not a city-run event, or any event within our border, she's there. So she really lives, eats, and breathes the city of Revere and everybody. So she's an unbelievable resident, and I'm so proud to call her a Ward 4 resident, but she's a resident of Revere, and she's very special. I'll leave it with, we do have a special gift for her that we'll give to her when we have the presentation, probably in person or somewhere outside of the chambers. But just a brief quote from really an amazing poet that a lot of us have become very familiar with since the inauguration, Amanda Gorman. And this is to you, Fatu. For there is always light. If only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it. So thank you, Fatu.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. What a great choice. Fatu is such a wonderful lady. I started working with her about 6 years ago. Right after she started, putting together the program. And she came to me and needed a place to do her training for English classes for the immigrants. And I got the Jewish War Veterans Hall at the Hyman Towers for the group. And they've been meeting down there on a regular basis until the COVID, of course. But I'm so pleased that, she moved on. I've seen several executive directors come through after her. She moved on to the Revere Community School. And she's such a wonderful lady and gives her heart and soul to everything that she does. And she helps the right people. So I want to congratulate my fellow councilors for putting her name in for this certificate. And she's just a great lady and it's a great choice. So glad it came out, and I'm glad they helped. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Before I call on my colleague, Councilor Visconti, I just want to say that unselfishly, he was in the chamber when we had these technical difficulties, and we had to force them to leave because we couldn't have more than two laptops working at once. It's been an interesting evening, but I want to thank him for his unselfish way. And he quickly removed himself to help us out with the technical problems. So with that, Councilor Visconti.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say congratulations to Fatou. She has been a tremendous asset to our community, and it couldn't be a better choice that we're recognizing Black History Month, and to have her selected as that person being recognized in February is just a perfect choice. Her drive, her commitment to our community doesn't go unnoticed, and I'm happy that she lives in Revere, and I want to congratulate her on this certificate because it's well deserved. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So voted.
Council item number 16, motion presented by Councilor Sereno that the mayor direct the city's chief innovation officer to implement the ZBA tracker on the city's website, similar to that of the city of Boston. The city of Boston recently announced a tool that allows residents to quickly access and gather information about ongoing projects that are before the Zoning Board of Appeals. This feature would give Revere residents more direct access to information and would allow residents to quickly search for a specific appeal that has been submitted to the ZBA, or to search for appeals based on criteria such as location or applicant in order to identify the status of an appeal.
Councilor Sereno.
Mr. President, I've already spoken on 3 motions tonight. Can I ask your leeway? Do you mind if I?
You have it.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the city of Boston and Mayor Walsh just announced last week that a ZBA tracker online tool was going live, whereby residents of Boston could essentially go on this website and zone into their neighborhood and see what projects are currently before the Boston Zoning Board of Appeals that are in their neighborhood or in an area that they're interested in. And I think the city of Revere would be well served by a similar tool. Speaking from experience and my minimal experience, there was a project in Linden Square on the corner of Sherman Street and Washington Ave that went before the Zoning Board of Appeals. I went and I door knocked all of Sherman Street, and we held a community meeting. After the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting, there was a Revere Journal article about the project, and more residents were upset because they didn't know what was going on. And our clerk does a tremendous job noticing the agendas and noticing the public hearing notices in the newspaper. But I think that people who are interested, if they go on if this passes and they go on a similar ZBA tracker for Revere, they can essentially plug in their address, and anytime something comes up in their neighborhood within a certain radius, they can be notified that something is going before the ZBA. So a lot of times it's after the fact our residents say, hey, why did you support that, or why, but the reality is that we don't hear from the residents until after the fact. So I think having a ZBA tracker like this would be helpful. And I know that I shared this on social media, and a couple of residents said, too little, too late. I don't think it's too little, too late at all. And I think where this technology is new, it's something we should look into, and that we should, positively, as a positive, try to make available to our residents. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Before I call on other councilors, I just want everybody to know I'm going to send this to probably a joint committee of economic development and zoning. And, I think we got to vet this properly before we implement anything, but it certainly has merit. There's no question about it. Councilor Visconti. Councilor Visconti?
No, I'm sorry. I just didn't put the
My apologies, I saw the hand up, the electronic
worries.
hand. Any other counselors? Okay, so this is.
Someone with their hand raised.
Hold on.
Oh, Laura Holmes.
We have someone in the audience, Laura Holmes.
Yes, hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Certainly can. Go right ahead.
Okay. Laura
Name and
Holmes,
address, name and address for the record, please.
Nahant Ave, Ward 2, resident. I think it's great that you guys are considering this, and thank you, Counselor Sereno, for bringing it up as the community liaison for the Revere Housing Coalition, and somebody who's just been kind of interested in learning more about housing, housing equity, affordable housing, all the things that I know you all care a lot about also. I think we're sort of at a new place as a community, and we're all learning together. And I feel like what you're suggesting with this resolution or amendment or whatever it is that with this motion, is that we continue that process and make it more transparent. I know that it's really hard as a resident and working with a group of residents to know what's going on, and we always feel like we hear about stuff after the fact. And I know that counselors hear from us and it's like after the fact. So I don't know where the, horse and cart, chicken and egg stuff is, but I look forward to learning more about it. And this motion looks to me as a signal in that direction that the council as well wants to learn more about how we can learn from best practices of other communities, or, whether it's what the Boston model is or whatever the right model is for Revere. I look forward to being part of the process. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. No other councilors want to speak or citizens want to speak. This is going to Joint Committee of Economic Development and Zoning. No further business. Motion to adjourn. This council is adjourned till February 22nd. Thank you all for your attendance.